Hello everybody, Crypto Chaperone here, and hopefully you guys are doing as good today as the rest of the cryptocurrencies in the crypto market are. Aside from Bitcoin, after it had its massive run up, you have to assume that it's going to start to stabilize and pull back, and that's what we're starting to see now. We had a massive run up. There were some Korean sites that were selling Bitcoin for over $20,000, and we saw actually, I think CoinMarketCap actually had the Bitcoin average of over $18,000 at one point. So we're definitely going to see a little bit of pullback from that now. And as we start to see that pullback, that money is going to start to trickle out into the alternate currencies. And that's kind of what we have going on today. If we take a look at just our top currencies, we have some great growth going on. We have Litecoin up 25%, Ripple up 10%, IOTA up 16%, Bitcoin Cash is up 8%, and Ethereum is up 5.2%. Or 5.4%, my bad. It's just nice to see all these coins are starting to get a little bit of growth now after the last week that they've all been sort of draining, unless there's been any major news that has been coming out about any of these coins. They've all been on a downward trend until some sort of news or something is struck about them, and then they had a slight uptick in their price, and then they just receded back down. So if we look at our top coins, one of the top coins up here, number 4, is IOTA. Now, I know IOTA, I talked about it in one of my videos about how they have made a partnership with Microsoft, and there's been some new things that have actually come out about IOTA. They are going to be doing a few conferences in some major cities around the world. They're going to be doing a conference in Moscow, they're going to be doing a conference in Tokyo, and they're also going to be doing a conference in Paris. So these are going to be taking place over the next week, which is definitely going to be bringing a lot of interest into IOTA. Now, I'm not sure what these conferences are going to be talking about, but I'm sure it's going to have to do with the general basics of its interrelated technologies that it could be run off IOTA and everything else, the partnerships that have been coming together. I know IOTA has been working with a massive group of big companies, Microsoft, Samsung, there's a bunch of other companies aside from that, but just those are two of the biggest tech companies in the world right now. And if they can eventually work with Apple, which a lot of people think Bitcoin is going to be working with Apple by the end of 2018, or Apple is going to be working with Bitcoin more or less, and they're going to potentially maybe be accepting Bitcoin as payments on iTunes Store for whatever else you want to. But yeah, I've seen a few things about that people think it is going to be eligible to be used on the iTunes or the Apple network, or for Apple products more or less. Maybe even if you go to the iTunes store, you'd be able to purchase a MacBook or a new iPhone with Bitcoin as well. But I'm sure as the year goes on, you'll see a lot more people who start to accept Bitcoin, and a lot of these bigger companies who start to see some of these smaller companies that have potential in their development are going to start to partner with some of these companies, and that's going to cause a lot of big booms in this whole cryptocurrency sector, because that is going to start to link the regular outside world that is just not technical or anything like that to cryptocurrencies. And you're going to have people that start to hear of these cryptocurrencies more and more if they already haven't from this massive boom. I have people that I haven't talked to in forever that I know now that are getting into cryptocurrencies, and they still have no idea what cryptocurrencies even are. They just see the price fluctuating so much and they want to be a part of it. They hear that Bitcoin was $1,000 at the beginning of the year, and now all of a sudden it's almost $20,000, or depending where you at, you can buy it for $20,000. But these people want to be a part of this, especially when you could potentially grow your money 20 times depending on when you buy into it. So definitely a lot of people have that fear of missing out. A lot of other things going on. Ripple, I think they actually had a wallet release on their network now. So that is definitely driving some potential people to Ripple, because I think Ripple, one of the only ways you could really hold or store your Ripple more or less was on like GateHub or exchanges or a few other things. I could be wrong because I haven't purchased Ripple since it was down in like 4 cents, and I sold all my Ripple when it hit like 25, 26 cents in that massive boom when everyone learned about it. And I haven't really paid attention to it much from there, but I do remember I had to keep my Ripple in a GateHub account, and it was kind of sketchy. A lot of people were always talking about it is they just would rather have like a light wallet or something where they could download onto their computer that they could keep all their Ripple on. So I think that is now an option. So that is going to be driving a little bit more people into the Ripple area, as well as just all these cryptocurrencies are growing unless they have had a decent amount of growth over the past week. Now you had Cardano that just got released onto a new exchange. I think it was BitThumb. So it had a massive growth, and there was a lot of developments that came out about the past 2 weeks of it, and it was on a decently high uptrend. As you can see, this is only a 1 week graph scale here, but over the past 1 or 2 days, we've just been on the negative downtrend when all these other coins have been on a negative downtrend pretty much for the first 4 days, and then these last day or two, they're starting to actually go upward now. So as you can see, like Stellar Lumens, they've had a ton of things come out about them, and that coin was definitely being pumped for a while. If we go look at our biggest gainers, you have the Dragon Chain coin, which has to do with Disney. It is interrelated with Disney, and Disney is working on this coin. I haven't looked much into it, but I did have a lot of people that came to me during the ICO and before the ICO even hit, and they wanted me to review it, and I never got into it. I had probably like 5 or 6 ICOs that I didn't get to really look into, and every time I look at these ICOs, I'm regretting it because all of these ICOs have gone up 4 or 5 times. And Dragon Chain, I think Dragon Chain was around 6 cents when it came out onto the market. So it's up about 7 times right now. And you have just a lot of other coins who have been taking kind of the negative effects over the past week because because Bitcoin was doing so well. Everybody was pulling out of their positions in their Litecoin, or I don't know why I keep saying Litecoin because I just saw Litecoin there. Everybody was pulling out their positions in all these other altcoins because a lot of people didn't think Bitcoin was going to keep going, and then you would open up the your portfolio or whatnot and look at Bitcoin's price the next day, and it was going up and up and up. So I assume people just were tired of watching Bitcoin rise and everybody wanted to take part in it. And now everybody is gotten off the Bitcoin train and starting to get back into their altcoins, and we're starting to see the altcoin boom again. So at the bottom end of this, obviously you have some of your people who are taking their profits out from the last couple of days of big things. Decentraland was being pumped over the last day or two because, as I talked about, they did have an article in Forbes, but there was a couple other reasons behind that too I didn't get to talk about yesterday. They're having a 10% token burning on the 15th of December, as well as they are also having a Ask Me Anything live Reddit session on the, I think, 12th. So those are 2 big things that could potentially happen to Decentraland that could grow the community. If there's any problems or anything like that, anybody in the community can voice themselves to the Ask Me Anything session. And the 10% coin burning is nice because you're getting rid of 10% of the total supply of these coins, which is going to make, in terms, everything a little bit more valuable. As we can see, if we keep going down, Stratus is now on the negative end. Stratus has a lot of things coming up for it as well. They actually have their Breeze wallet release as well as a Masternode release, and they also are having some sort of like an Alpha node release or something as well coming up, and those are all coming up within the next 2 weeks. And then it was just reported today as well in their Slack chat channel or their Telegram, one or the other. One of the developers said that they're actually going to start hosting ICOs on their platform. So if we check out right here, we can see that one of the developers said, "What would you like to know about any of the upcoming information that they had?" And the reply was, "The information will be released soon. I can only confirm that they will be able to host ICOs on our blockchain agnostic platform this year." So you are going to be able to host ICOs on the Stratus network coming up. Who knows when the announcement's going to be, but apparently at the end of the year, December 31st, I think it is when they're either going to make the announcement or make it happen. So Stratus might be a coin that you might want to potentially watch out for, especially on this dip now. It might be going down to one of its lower points that it might be hitting over the next couple weeks or months, depending on how this whole development plans out. So something else I want to get into talking about today, we're going to get away from all these cryptocurrencies and stuff like that and looking at the markets. And we're going to talk about a man who was actually arrested for selling Bitcoin. Now, this isn't just your average everyday person going out, buying Bitcoin, holding Bitcoin, selling Bitcoin, doing whatever. This guy actually owned a business and he was selling Bitcoin and buying Bitcoin and laundering the money through his business. And what his business was, it was called TV Toys LLC, and he literally just sold like routers and technology that you would use in your house for your computer, your TV, whatnot, anything that was like electronic that you would want to upgrade or add on to it. He just had all these electronic things that you could buy. And he was also laundering money through his Bitcoin sales through his TV Toys bank account. So what happened was, and eventually the government caught on to it, and they caught on to it because he was doing a bunch of wire transfers, and the banks put up the red flags for the wire transfers, which, if you've ever bought Bitcoins through a wire transfer, is not a good idea because you're buying a digital currency more or less that the banks don't like, and you're spending fiat money and you're giving away banks money, and this money that they think you're going to be working hard for and you're going to be slaving over, you're giving it away for this new technology of tomorrow. So the banks aren't going to be very happy about that. So they're definitely going to be watching out about anything that could be potentially related to this. Now, this initially happened back in 2015 is when this man got caught for it. His name was Sal Manzi. And when they raided his home in 2015, they found $118,000 of Bitcoin in cash. Now, I'm not really sure what the ratio of the Bitcoin and cash was. It just says there was $118,000 of Bitcoin in cash. So at the time of this raiding, Bitcoin was only about $244. So if they did raid him for, let's say, potentially $118,000 of Bitcoin, that would be worth around $8 million at the current price of $16,000, a little over $16,000 at what it's at. So even if it was just $100,000, he would be sitting close to over $6 million, $6.5 million. He would have a decent amount of money. And this is all now, not really sure what happened to these Bitcoins, but he has actually been tried today. Today, I guess today was in this whole news story. So I'm not really sure if he was tried today, or at least this is just when the news story broke, but he has actually been sentenced to 1 year and 1 day in prison, and he is going to be then watched for 3 years after that to make sure that he doesn't do anything wrong or get into Bitcoin or do anything fraudulent or laundering related. You kind of look at this and it's kind of funny because he's only getting 366 days in prison, but in turn the government took his cryptocurrencies, which could be potentially worth over $7 million depending on how much they got, since they don't really talk about how much cash to Bitcoin that they really got, kind of to keep it secret. So maybe they got $1,000 in cash and $117,000 in Bitcoin. And that is a massive amount of money that the government has just pretty much taken. Now, he did launder this. He was doing it, breaking a law. It clearly states that he violated Title 18 of the U.S. Code Section 1960. And he was just transferring money through a business that was not his money, and it was his business. So, which in turn is laundering money. And now that we're talking about this, I want to actually get into something that happened to me in cryptocurrencies a few years ago. There was actually a company that I was buying from that was a Bitcoin exchange company, a Bitcoin selling company, and I was just getting into cryptocurrencies and more or less getting into buying them on exchanges online. And what happened was I was buying them for a while, and it got to the point where it was cheaper to buy it through a wire transfer than it was to do like a MoneyGram or anything like that, or buy it with a credit card, because they tacked on like a 7% fee or a 6% fee for those things. And if you did the wire transfer, it was just strictly the price of Bitcoin at its spot price of whatever it was. So I started doing those. And what happened eventually was my bank account got froze because the company that I was buying it from was a company that was laundering all of their money through pretty much fake names and fake everything. It was a company down in Florida and was called Coin.mx was the website. And I didn't really hear anything from it for a while. I got my account frozen. I quit dealing with them because, I wasn't into Bitcoin 100%. I wasn't sure what was going on, and I only made a couple transactions through them, and all of a sudden my account got frozen and everything, and the banks are calling my house and trying to figure out what's going on. And maybe like a month or two after that, I read a story about the people who are actually running this site that got caught for running a money laundering site, and that's what this pretty much was in the long term. So you always want to be more or less aware of what you're doing. If you are getting into cryptocurrencies and you're new to it, you don't want to just go on Google and type in buy Bitcoin with a credit card or buy Bitcoin online, because you're going to come up to all these sites, and the sites that are going to pop up first are the sites that have the best web traffic leading to them, the most backlinks, and they've got the everything going to them. They could be ads or whatnot, and they could potentially not be trustworthy, authentic sites. You might be just setting yourself up to get phished. You might be setting yourself up to get robbed of your cash or your bitcoins if you're going to buy or sell or whatever you're doing. And you always want to make sure that even potentially when you buy from some of these credit card companies, they could not send you your bitcoins, or they could do whatever. And there's companies that can do chargebacks or whatever. And if you're buying or selling, depending on whatever you're doing, and not give you your things, and who knows whatever else could go on. And the same thing that happened to me is you have companies that aren't really filling out the proper paperwork and getting the licensing that they need to sell and buy bitcoins, and they're doing it fraudulently and illegally, and you could be potentially a victim, and you could be being watched right now by the government and the IRS and everybody, because they think that you're in on this money laundering scheme. In reality, you just got into bitcoins and cryptocurrency because you saw it on the news or whatnot, and you just want to get into it, and you're not really sure how. So that's pretty much why I make these videos every day, is to try to help you guys little by little get into cryptocurrencies. I know some of my videos are for people that have been into cryptocurrencies for a while. Some of the videos are for people who are just starting out. Pretty much every day I'll just come out and I'll make a random video, and I hope that some of these videos do help you guys make better decisions and help you guys make a profit or pull out a profit over time in cryptocurrencies. Or I hope I'm at least helping you to learn to do better things with your cryptocurrencies, or do better research, or to look twice more or less at what you're going to invest in before you invest in it. For the most part, that's really all I've got for you guys today. We're going to leave it at that. We've got our cryptocurrencies doing pretty well. Our market cap, let's refresh this. Our market cap, 427 billion. It had a little bit of a dip, but other than that, Bitcoin is still slightly dipping down. 16,104. We dropped down to in the 14,000s, 15,000s throughout the night, and there was a couple dips, and now we're starting to pull back up. This could be a new spot for our support to hold for a while. Who knows? We'll see when the Bitcoin futures start trading, which is going to be taking place in 2 days on the Chicago Board Options Exchange. So they did beat out the Chicago Mercantile Exchange by, I think, 8 days for their futures trading. So I'm sure we're going to see something happen with these markets. And something that I've been saying to watch out for is potentially, you saw the volatility go from $5,000 when they announced that futures was going to be an option, up to $20,000 pretty much. And now we're back down at $16,000 after we hit an all-time high of $20,000 pretty much within the last 24 hours. So you're definitely seeing a ton of volatility, and I think that a lot of people have been saying it, that these brokers and these traders could be potentially setting up to short the market and whatnot, because you have all this volatility, all this money going in, and who knows how much of that money is really their money. They could put all this money in and pull all this money out, and the market drops, and then all they did was short the bets and they won. So definitely you're going to want to decide pretty much for the better if you want to hold on to your Bitcoin through this turbulent time that is going to be approaching. I'm sure within the next 2 days to 2 weeks, we're going to see Bitcoin do some crazy things. So you're going to have to decide if you want to just hold on to it, not pay attention to the price, and look back into it maybe mid-January, or if you're going to buy and sell and try to maybe do something on these dips, or if you're going to pull out maybe at $16,000. If you've invested in Bitcoin anytime before this major hype in the past 2 weeks, I'm sure you're sitting on a nice profit. So you could potentially even pull your money out and wait for this whole crazy time to pass over and then buy back into Bitcoin, or even just wait for a major dip during this whole time and buy back into it, and then just sit out on the sideline until after this whole time happens. During this time, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of craziness. The market cap dropped down to like 390 billion at one point, and then rocketed back up to 419 billion. So you have so much money and so much volatility, and these people are really moving these markets. We went from pretty much 450 billion, I think, or maybe even more than that was our highest. I did see it reach 450, and then I saw it reach 390 in the 380s right after that. So we had over another $60 billion fluctuation in the market, just like we saw last week. So when these things happen, you want to always make sure that you're trying to keep up on all the news, keep up on everything that's happening. Try to stay aware on these Bitcoin futures and what could be happening with those, especially in the next 2 days. As soon as those start trading, we're going to see what the market's really made of. And if you really want to attempt to trade on these, best wishes and good luck. But I'm going to leave you guys with that I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Hopefully you guys do make a profit or have been making a profit. I'm sure that you've been making a profit at some point because cryptocurrencies have been growing, and unless you just joined in the last week and bought into it, maybe if you bought into Bitcoin, you're sitting well now. But if you bought into something at a low or a medium to a high of what it was over the past 2 weeks, just hold on to it. It's going to recover and you're going to be making profits soon. What I noticed a lot of these coins as well are doing is you have coins that they hit, like SIA hit a cent, almost 2 cents, and then it dropped down to like 300 Satoshis, 200 and some Satoshis, which is crazy. And then you saw it just rocketed back up to almost a cent again. So a lot of these coins, they drop in price and they'll sustain a low price for a while, but they will recover to their price, if not for a pump or something going on, for some potential news or a development that's going on. So even if you are sitting at the low end of a coin, or if you see a coin or you saw a coin that was potentially maybe trading at 4 or 5 cents at one time and now it's down to 2 cents and 1 cent, and you look into it, you want to make sure you look into it. And if, as long as the developers are still there and there's not really any big problems going on within the platform or the project, the coin most likely will return to what the price was. At least that's what I've been seeing for a lot of these coins. I have my my blockfolio. I have probably like 30 or 40 coins that I watch, and I like to look at the trends of them over time. And what happens is a lot of these coins will dip down and they'll stay down. You'll have like Triggers Token and First Blood, for example, and those First Blood was up and over the dollar range for a long time, and then it dropped down and it kind of stabilized at the 70 cents, stabilized at the 50 cents. And then it went back down to, I think it was like in the low 40s and 30s. And then it went back up to the 50. Let's see what it's at now. So it would have dipped back down, but you would have also had the opportunity to make a little bit of your money back. So over the past week, it did go the whole way up to almost 60 cents. And now we're the whole way back down to about 30 cents. If you were holding on to the coin, you would have had an opportunity to sell it back up here where it stabilized at one point. It was up here at about 50 cents for a while, and then it did drop down. Drop down to like 30 cents for a while. And then if you can notice these kinds of patterns and things like that, you could buy into these coins. Now you always want to make sure that you're not putting more in than you're willing to lose in case this downtrend still continues. If you see a downtrend continuing for a long spike, potentially maybe like 2 months, and all you see are these like little humps going like this as it's going down, it might potentially not be the best time to invest in it, because those are just short little trades and profit taking going along. And you kind of want to wait. If you is a project that you see that is trading like that, maybe look into the developments or pay attention. As soon as the development does hit, I'm sure you'll be able to make a decent amount of money. But as it does continue on a negative trend, it's probably not the best time to invest in it. So if you guys want to keep up with on anything that I'm doing, my personal trades or any news that I come across, any sort of things like the Stratus, buying into Stratus when it was cheap and then I sold high, things like that, I do post those on my Telegram channel. So if you want to follow that, just join in the link below. That is in my the info section below this video. There's also in the info section below, there's a link to win a Ledger Nano S. So all you have to do to be eligible to win that is go check out that video that I made to win the Ledger Nano S, leave a comment under that, subscribe to my channel, and just enjoy my videos. And hopefully you guys enjoy my videos and the 2 cents I kind of put into the crypto market, and hopefully it helps you guys to make a better decision for tomorrow and what you guys are going to do. So I'm going to leave you guys with this now. This is the end of the video. I'm not going to continue on to something else, but hopefully you guys have a great day. Continue trading your cryptos, continue pulling profits as much as you can, especially on these turbulent times we're going to be coming up on, and go out and try to keep up on the news as much as you can. Try to keep up with everything that is going on in the cryptocurrency space. Watch more of these YouTubers, people like me who are on YouTube trying to teach you the news and teach you everything that they know, or more or less just put in the 2 cents that they know, and hopefully you can take all those 2 cents and make $1 out of it. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.